I was fascinated by this clip going around by Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro appeared on the Trigonometry podcast. That's Konstantin Kisin, who's been on our show quite a bit. And a user on X under the name Wolf said, Ben Shapiro sums up why his brand of conservatism is dying fast and why the populist left will steamroll any Republican parroting Shapiro's views. He then quotes Shapiro, "If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here," he says to native New Yorkers. Now, here's the clip that accompanied that post of Ben Shapiro.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up. But the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
Okay, so Ben Shapiro, who has become a controversial figure on the right, and let's be honest, a lot of that is about Israel, okay? But at this point, in many ways, on the right, that has made him persona non grata, and people don't want to hear any other arguments from Ben about whatever it may be, including economics. I'm only telling you what lurks in the background of a lot of these conversations. But Ben, as you saw, is chastised there for suggesting, you know, if you don't like the affordability situation of wherever you live, in this case, New York, maybe you should chase opportunity and move. And that's the history of America. Patrick sent that clip to me. And you, quite honestly, Patrick, you hated what Ben had to say. And that's what you said. I sent you this morning a little longer context of what Ben had to say. Play that, Dan.
Affordability is not like Beetlejuice, where if you just say it over and over, it suddenly arrives. You actually have to pursue policies that are likely to alleviate an affordability problem. But if your solution is always give me more power, and it does seem like that is the solution of the day from both sides, actually, then you're likely to just continue penduluming one side to the other. Because people don't want to learn the actual lesson, which is if you actually want affordability, then either you have to change policies or change locations. Those are really the only two things. And also, I think more broadly, it's not about affordability. We have trained an entire generation of people to believe that if their lives are not what they want them to be, it's the fault of systems, as opposed to decisions that are in their own control. And politicians absolutely have a stake in selling that. A lot of people in our industry have a stake in selling that. It makes people feel good about themselves and bad about the world. And the reality is, if you want a better life, you should feel better about the world and worse about yourself until you actually, go do the right thing.
Okay, I found that clip absolutely fascinating. Patrick, did that larger context change your mind at all about what he had to say?
Well, I did qualify when I first sent the original clip that the context did matter. So and it does matter to me a little bit. I do think he has some good points, but I also still disagree in general in regards to the systems in place not being a problem.
So first of all, no, okay. And I don't think Ben would say that the system's not a problem. But I think that he's pointing something very addictive here. To constantly scapegoat the system is the reason for your situation in life falling below your expectations is a very addictive thing. You can place the problems outside of your control. You can say it's somebody else's fault. And that's not to say there aren't other people's faults. There isn't the fault of the system. And I'm just back the envelope. So I told you guys this morning, I think Ben's 70% right there. I think 30% is what we laid out before. Look at medical care costs, look at housing costs, look at education costs, all things that are influenced by the system, namely the government trying to make them more affordable or more accessible, and they've all gotten out of the reach. Those are the three big ones for any young person. Now, I also think that he's right about young people, and I know there's no way a politician gets elected saying what I'm about to say or wanting to hear what Ben wanted to hear. Said they don't want to hear what he said. We have an entitlement crisis, and I think it is fueled by social media or supercharged. Yeah. Social media's currency is envy, and people live through the prism of their screen, seeing the way other people live and thinking they have an entitlement to a certain house or a certain town or a certain type of vacation. And if you want those things, I do believe you have to figure out the choices in your life that lead you in that direction. It's going to be hard with the system. Do you guys remember a big debate between Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro a few years ago? It's fascinating. It's, yes. I don't know, maybe 5 years old. All right, and Ben says to Tucker, hey, would you have the government step in and basically outlaw self-driving cars, self-driving trucks, and artificially protect that class. And Tucker goes, "Are you effing kidding me?" Like he's certain. Tucker is certain and exasperated. And his answer is, in a second. In a second, I would outlaw self-driving trucks. He said, it's the number one job for men with a high school education. And if you eradicate that in a 5-year, 10-year period, he said even a 30-year period, the social cost of destroying those men's career, destroying those men's lives, and destroying their family creation and their cohesion in society then is existential to our country. It would ruin America. It could bring us down. And so he proposes doing something like New Jersey's done when it comes to the gas pumps. You know, New Jersey's the only state in the country where they still have men that pump the gas, right? They're not you don't do it yourself because they have a law that requires it be the way it was in the 1980s. So Tucker was certain that's what he would do. And I'm here to tell you, I get Tucker's argument and Ben's argument. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have that same level of certainty. I don't know what that does. Does the cost of trucking go through the roof if you artificially keep that? And therefore the price of every consumer good go through the roof because you've got this artificially protected class of labor? And now everybody complains about the price of bread because it costs so much to get it to its final destination, right? You see, I am not smart enough to engineer economies. I can tell you that. I am not smart enough. And I'm not smart enough to even to restructure a system. And that's why I fall back on capitalism, because I don't think anybody's smart enough. But I do think Tucker's right. The rate of everything falling apart is going to have the potential to destroy our social cohesion. And it's happening so fast. Wait till AI destroys what? 30% of the job market? And everybody has to reinvent themselves in a 5-year period? New jobs, new everything. And oh, by the way, buy yourself a home, start a family, and live by envy through social media. You too should vacation in the Amalfi Coast. I get where we are on affordability, and I'm even more afraid of where we're going. I just wish I was smart enough to figure it out.